Hello friends, welcome. Friends, I have not done any video on Python technique, using Python techniques to process data for making them palatable for visualization. Now friends, I am not an expert on Python, but I am trying to learn enough techniques so that it enables me to process complex data which are not available in a form which I can use for visualization. Many of you who are following me must be knowing that I have been using Tableau for a long period of time. I used to use Tableau to visualize COVID data, did it for almost 1.5 years. And over the period of time, I am using Tableau to make my articles more substantive, supported with hardcore data, which kind of makes my conclusions hard hitting, and I am able to justify what I write properly. Without data, it is very difficult to make a conclusive argument. For that, I need data, and therefore I have to process data, and that's why I am struggling very hard to learn these skills, without which I can't progress a step forward. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a complex file which you can download from RBI, and to convert that file in a format which can be very easily visualized. Now, how did this process got triggered? Because just on 13th of September 2024, RBI released its Handbook of Statistics of Economy 2023-24. Now, this is a recent release, and it has got a lot of useful information, and anybody who is interested in economy should read this PDF, download this PDF, and go through it. I am more interested in time series data, and I found the time series data here. So one of the file which I actually have downloaded many files. So I'm just going to show you one of the file which is a little complex. So this is the structure of the file. Look at this file. This file looks something like this. Let me just take my face out. So if you look at this file, this is basically giving the component of net state domestic product at factor cost, industry origin at current price. Now, this file, if I go to the latest tab, which is the 2012 series, you will find that there are multiple such blocks. Look at these blocks. These blocks are, for each and every state, there is an individual block. Now, these blocks are for 30 different states, right, and union territories. If you go down below in this file, you will see such blocks are there. Now, how do you convert, and how do I convert this into a format which is easy to process? Now, this is the format I want. What this format is, we have a column for date. So look at this. Let me just take my pen here. So I have a column for date here. This is the date column. This is the date column, and then I have a column for value, and then I have a column from state and the description. So I will just filter this and show you that how the filtered data looks like. So if I go here and say data, and then from here I do filter. So what you will see here, that all the states are stacked up in one column, and all the descriptions means what you saw there. As let me just show you again. So look at these descriptions. Which are for the individual states. Let me go top here. So this is the column row number 9. So this is the description. It is stacked up in this column, right? In this column D. So now you have a very clean and simple data which you can process using any visualization tools. You don't have to struggle. So how do you do that, right? Now, RBI also has a tab where you can download data, but I get terribly confused with the structure, and sometimes that data is not very complete. So I am always eager to use the tables which are provided by RBI, because it gives me a mechanism to understand the structure and then do my visualization properly. So let me show you how you can very easily do it using Python. So the first step is to go and read the Excel file. So I'm going to show you how the raw data looks, and we'll go step by step. So if I so this is the test step, right? You import all the libraries, etc. It's very simple, and then you change the directory where your file is, and then you read the file which I've downloaded, which is HBS table number 7. So you copy that in DataFrame. So this is how the DataFrame looks like. You can't make any head and tail out of this data because it is very highly unstructured. So what I do is I simply drop certain null rows, null columns. So you see, df drop na, axis is equal to 1, how is equal to wall. Simple, everybody understand this. I've dropped null columns and then I drop null rows. Null means if a row is empty or a column is empty, it gets dropped. Because there is no data, what is the point in having that row? Then I am doing one important thing. I am filling a particular row with the values which is in the first row. Means if there are, let's say if there is, let me show you this. Let me show you the file here. For example, when you are going to have this file in raw form, you will find a row here, let's say Andhra Pradesh, and then you will have nulls here. You see, nulls here. So how do you fill this? One way of using Excel is Excel. If you are proficient in Excel, you know already how to do this. I'm going to show you anyway. So what you should do? Let me just show you again. Sorry. So you take this and you select. Oh, sorry, because I'm recording and doing this simultaneously. So just bear with me. And then what you do is that you go here and you say go to special, and when you go to special and you say blanks. And then what you do is, once you've selected blanks, then you go here, right? And then you, so it will take some time, it becomes a little difficult, to handle this. So let me forget this, I don't want to show it because it is getting too slow here. But you got the point, there will be nulls here. So what I want to convert is, I want to fill all the nulls with the state name. So I'm going to show you how the data frame looks after that. So let me just run this. Now I run the df and you will see that, as I showed you, that Andhra Pradesh is going to get copied in all the blank spaces. So you have a row with AP filled up. Similarly, you will find, if I do head here, you will find HEAD head, and then you see 55, and you will see that. Similarly, if you go down below, you will find Arunachal Pradesh is getting filled up. Then you go down below, then you'll find Assam getting filled up. So like that. And I'll tell you why it is going to help you. It's going to help you significantly in order to process this data further. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove the last row. There is one row which you cannot see. If I go to tail, you will be able to see. Let me just do tail here. Tail, and you'll see that the last row is a unnecessary row source, so I'm going to remove it, and therefore I am using this particular line which removes the last row and reset index, and you just drop is equal to true. Nothing much happens. The data frame looks similar to what it was earlier, right? Now you see that. Now what I want to do is, I now have to detect the indexes, because the blocks can be identified by the state name, where the state name starts. So this is, for example, let me again do head 55. So you'll see that I want the 0 index, 0, then I want 16, and then if I go down, I want 33, like that, because this is the start value of the indexes where the block starts. Is it 33? No, 32, right? So how do I do it? So I have to define a function. This is the function that I have defined, right? So what is this function doing? It is reading each and every row, right? And it is checking the first value. First value is what? For example, if you go here, you will see first value is Andhra Pradesh. It checks the Andhra Pradesh. And then what it does is, it basically tries to see, this is just to make sure that the code is robust. It's not required. But saying if it is null, then it makes it false. Else, what it does, it basically checks all the values of the row and try to determine that they are equal or not. When you say all row is equal to first value, it tries to say equal or not, which means that it will check this cell, that is the row's first column of row 1, second column of row 1, third, fourth, fifth, and everything it will check, and you'll see that everything is same. If everything is same, because the structure of this data frame, if you look closely, you will find that there is not a single exception to this rule, because everything is same here, okay? Right, row 0, you will find Andhra Pradesh. Similarly, you go down, row 16, you will find Arunachal Pradesh. Then you will find, so you will not find an exception here. So what it will do is, as soon as it finds is a row similar to this, where the first value is, for all the values are equal to the first value, then it will basically do put it true. and identify that as true. And this is how the state rows are getting identified. So if I run this cell, so what it is doing, before I run this, let me explain what it is doing. Let me do individually, otherwise you will get confused. So let me take this particular portion and then run it separately. Then you will be able to understand what is going on, right? So if I run this, you'll see that what I having true, false, false, false. And again, if I do head here, head 55, you'll see that true here, and then 16. Did you see 16 true again? And then if you go down below, 32 true again. So you have now the indexes. So what you do now is that you filter on this. You filter on this because this is a very simple filter, very easy to apply. So I remove head here, and then I just simply filter the whole data frame on this vector, right, which is a Boolean vector. So when I run this, you'll see that all the rows which are of similar nature have been extracted. Got it? Right? Very simple now. Now what I do, very simple. What I have to do, I have to basically get the indexes. So I'm simply say index. So when I do index, you will see the index values are all extracted out. That is the starting of the block. Then I say toList, right? toList means I'm just putting all those indexes in a list. So you have a list like this. Simple as that. Now this is the line which I was talking about. I broken this line and I did it on a interval basis. So this is now captured in a list called state rows. So if I do state rows here, I'm going a little fast because a lot of explanation. You can pause the video whenever you want to. So you have got state rows in a list like this, which is the starting of the rows. Now what I have to do is that starting is fine, but I want to know where the data ends, right? So I have to add one more value to this row, which is the end of the data frame. So what I'm doing is I'm basically taking the length of the overall data frame, which is state rows, that is the length of data. You know that the length of data frame will be what? So if I do length of df, so it will simply give me the length, which is 528. So 528 will get append to this list called state rows. So how it is going to happen? So I'll just uncomment this, and then when I uncomment this, and if I run this, you see this state rows append length df, right? So state rows I showed you. Now if I run state rows, and I simply run, you see 528 has been appended to this list. Now after having done that, you will find it is very simple, by the way. You don't have to get confused about this. Now I have to run another block of code. Now what is this block of code? Very, very simple. Because you have a state rows list which contains what? 0, 16, 32. These are the values. You need these values because you need to fragment the data in blocks and then process it. So what you need? So I am running a for statement. For I range state rows -1. It's simply for loop. And then starting index of the data frame, ending index of the data frame, which is start is the I and the end will be I plus 1, right? Because this is how the data frame looks like. And then we have a block, will get one single block is going to be identified. Because let me just show it to you. Like for example, if the data frame, if I have df and then I say iloc and I say 0, and then what I see, I'll just show you one step by step, because it starts with 0, right? State row length -1, state row, and then I think it will start with 1, right? I think it will start with 1, and then no, sorry, 0, it will start with 0, and then after that what I need is the next one. Next one will be how much? So if you look at this statement, what the statement start, and you need all the values when you start from 0, all the values till end. You see, start till end, right? So because end is not contained, so what you have to do, you have to add 1 here. For example, 16 plus 1, it is not inclusive, so you have to make it 17. And when I run this 17, you will be able to see that these values are going to get captured here, right? I think it should have started with 1 and it should have gone up to 18. I think so. That's why there's a mistake, right? So no, I think what happened? Yeah, I think 0 and sorry. Okay. The last value was there, 16. It will be 16. Sorry. So look at this. So 0, Andhra Pradesh, and then you have a full block in front of you. This is the code. So now what you do is that once you have the codes, saved in blocks. So let me run this full code here, and if I do blocks here, block blocks, and you will find that blocks will be, these are the blocks, right? It is a list of blocks. So block is list of block. So if I do 0 here, you'll get the first block, see, which I showed you just now, +1. Now what you have done, you run this code, right? After having identified the indexes, then you append it and you save in blocks. Now it is very simple, very, very simple to process. So what you have the next stage here. You have you have identified a data frame which is empty called decom, where you want to store all the data frame after processing. Therefore, I have basically given it a empty. I converted it into a data frame. It's an empty data frame. Now what I'm doing, I'm basically doing blocks in blocks, means I'm processing each block at a time. So as soon as I have block and I converted that into a data frame, I'm going to show you. So let's say if I convert this into a data frame, how do I convert it into a data frame? Very simple. pd.dataframe.block, pd.dataframe, right? And then I just use block 0 just to show you how the data frame looks. So this is how the data frame will look now, because without data frame you can't process. So you need the data frame, right? So you have the data frame here. So where is it, right? Then what I am doing is I am extracting all rows, right? And I am basically taking out the first column. Why a first column? Because one of the column has got repeated 2 times. There are 2 years here. So I'm just taking out one of them, right? Just to make sure that the year remains in one of the column, right? Because of the peculiar structure of the sheet, right? That's why it is very important to look at the structure of the sheet. So what I've done is that I have converted this. So if I just show you how it's going to look, no, I'll just simply do ilog here, and then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say all rows and the columns start from 1, right? So you see one of the column of year got excluded, right? So this is the row. Then I am extracting the headers. Headers are important. Where is the header? Header is in row 0 and row 1. So I have got 2 here, header 1 and header 2, right? Let me again show you, because otherwise you will say that you're going too fast. So once I run it, how the header 1 will look? Header 1 will look like this, because df ilog 0 and all columns, right? Row number 0, row with index 0 and all columns, and row with index 1 with all columns. So let me show you how the header looks. Header 1 will look like this, Pondicherry, right? And header 2 will look like this. Now since I have to create a combined sheet or a file, a CSV file, I have to process these headers. So what I am going to do, that it is very difficult to, because this structure of the data frame is different. I want to transpose the data frame. So I have to combine these headers to split these headers separately whenever that it is appropriate. So what I'm using is, I'm using another code here to combine the headers with a separator called $. Why I've used $? Because $, has to be unique. It should not be any kind of symbol here which is already there in these text. Otherwise it will create confusion when you do splitting. So you will understand. Let's go step by step. So let me run this code and show it to you. So when I run this code, and if I take header here, when I take header, and then you'll see how the header will look. Control V. The header will basically have Pondicherry with, it is going to combine with a $, which I am going to use it to split later, because I have to create 2 different columns from this. So then what I am going to do, I am going to simply assign this header to df.columns. So now after having combined it, you will see that the df, the data frame, one of the data frame, because this is a loop, one of the data frame, because this is the last data frame, because the loop is complete. That's why Pondicherry is coming here, okay? It's going to look like this, right? You see all the data frame has been. Now this particular column has a very peculiar name. I don't like it. So rest I am going to process. The first I don't like it because I want this to be year, right? So what I am going to do, I am first, before I do that, I have to remove some of the rows. Which are those? This one, and this one. 3 rows I have to remove, because I need the data from the next row. So therefore I have used start from index 3, all rows and then all columns. I'll just show it to you how it looks. The last will come. So you'll see that now it is a cleaner data frame, right? So once you have done that, you have to name the first, this one. Pondicherry year to date, because I don't like it, because this is not the way. So it is very simple to do that. DF rename column DF. So since I am not sure what will be the name, so I am basically use DF column 0. So I'm going to show you what does it mean. DF column column sorry, COLUM and let's see. Yeah, column 0. Sometimes when you're recording and typing, it becomes a problem. What happened? What did I do? What did I do? Oh, columns. Sorry, columns. Look, this proves that I am not an expert. Okay, so this is there. So this is the first. So this will basically get renamed because this is coming here and then date, right? So now what we will have when I run this, you will see. Sorry, again I just undo this and I run this. So you will find that the data frame will have the first row. First column, the name of the first column has changed as date, right? Now, once you have done that, now you melt the data frame, right? Individual data frame you melt. So when I'm going to melt it, you will see the last data frame will be melt, means it will get transferred. And how to use that? PD.melt df id var is that the first column is going to be the index, and then the var name will be metric and the value name will be value. I'm going to just show you and run it, and I'm going to show you how it's going to look. So this is how it's going to look. Date, metric, and this is only one of the block, because the row has this particular function has iterated and only the last block is being shown here. Now since I have to copy all these blocks in a data frame which I have identified as initiated this data frame called DCOM. So what I'm going to do is that I am going to use a simple code which is pd.contact, and I am going to combine this data frame with axis 0, means it is going to stack on top of each other. So when I'm going to run this, you will see that you have a dfcom comb is going to look like this. Means see, look, there are 155 rows. Andhra Pradesh is at the bottom, right? It is in the top, which you can very easily do any. So let's say if you want to do sort values, so you can say that df simple. It is not very difficult to do, right? So you can just simply sort it and then bring Andhra Pradesh in the top if you want to do it. Now that is not the point, because ultimately what you have a data frame which was such a complex data frame. Look at this data frame here, right? Such a complex data frame now has been converted into a data frame which you can easily process. Now this is still not the end of the story. Now I have to split this into two different columns, because this is a combined name, which is very easy to do. What I've done is that I'm using a list comprehension, and I'm splitting on dollar and taking 0 for state, because if I take 0 it will become state, and then I do 1 because this is a list when you are splitting, and when I do 1 it is going to give me the other, which is the description. So I'm going to show you, and then in the next code is basically dropping the metric column. So when I run this, you will find that you have df column with the metric column gone. Now you have state and description, which all separated. Then it is a matter of just processing. I'm copying it into another df, and then I'm converting date into date time. So I'm going to show you the date is going to get converted into date time, which can be easily processed, right? Let me just show you how, or df.com. So I have to convert df. So df, because I just copied the df form into df just to save time on typing. And now you see the date has been converted into df, which is very easy. It is not, you can just pause the video and just have a look at the code. Very simple, right? And then I'm just replacing some of these dashes here with npnan, so that I can convert into float. And then finally I divide it by 1 lakh to convert crores into rupees lakhs, right? So now if I run this, you will find that this is the final file, right? It's clean and simple, right? Which is here, which I showed you here. Now it's very easy to process. You can simply put it in Tableau, wherever you want to do. So this is, friends, which I want to talk to you about, how to process complex data. Now there could be many such scenarios. I am not, an expert. Again, I'm telling you, I'm not an expert. I'm learning. Day by day, I'm improving. But you can also. So my example shows that since I have no coding experience, I've been doing, trying to basically, sit down and do hands-on. It helps me, and it will help you as well, right? To become more empowered in the job that you're doing, because without data, if you do anything, you are not going to have substantive logic, which is robust and which cannot be anyway contradicted. Without data, it becomes very difficult to give supporting argument, and whatever you write and whatever you do may not be that robust, and it is subject to a lot of analysis and interpretation, and therefore it is very important to have supporting argument in your article or whatever that you are doing, blogging, doing video, with supporting data which you can visualize and process. So friends, that's all in this video. I hope that you liked it, and anything that you have not understood on you, or any comments that you want to give me to improve myself, because I have done something very wrong and I can efficiently improve this further, I'll be very happy to listen to your comments, and with that I want to improve myself. So that's the whole objective, the selfish objective is to do a video so that I can run this fast and I can absorb this in my head and become better. And in the process, I can help others also to get those skills. And those software experts, I'm not talking to them because they know everything, and I'm really humbly telling you that this is for only those who are doing data processing and may not have a very significant background on software coding. Thank you very much, friends, for your time, and I'll come back to you with a new video.